Hello, everybody. I'm hoping we're connected today. How's everybody doing? Let me put up the chat for a moment. I see Luis from Brazil. Absolutely great. How's everybody doing? I'm very excited to be here with you today.
I'm hoping we're connected today.
We're going to talk about Donor Welcome Series. And this is so great to see everybody in the chat, what everybody's doing. Please do share. I'd love just to get some context, what your organization is, what your title is, and anything else you care to share. Have you tried automation at all? Are you already running a Donor Welcome Series? Fantastic donor participation project member, Heather Thompson, shared that she is experimenting already with this, with their new CRM. Hi, Kevin, Tony. It's absolutely great to see all of you here today. Caitlin, so many good friends. If you haven't heard about us, do check out the Donor Participation Project. URL is joindpp.org. I'll put it in the chat as soon as I get a moment. I'm going to talk about Donor Welcome Series. It's a specific approach to creating them. There are lots of different ways to do this. Different ways to skin the cat, so to say. This has been the one that, as a practicing fundraiser, I found to be the most practical, the most effective, and that let me be in control as a fundraiser. And it's kind of what we're bringing to everybody else. The Donor Participation Project is a fundraiser community of over 2,400 people. We get together every month. In fact, we're getting together tomorrow for a great chat on innovation. And we talk about things like this. And we saw that there was kind of an opportunity. There's lots of tools that are now available to automate things. There's a big need. I don't know who has read the report from the Fundraising Effectiveness Project. If you've read that, the latest quarter, the results for number of donors giving to nonprofits are alarming. So I'm going to go into why I think setting up a Donor Welcome Series is as close to a free lunch as you're ever going to get. In full disclosure, I have a little bit of experience setting these up because based on all these conversations in the Donor Participation Project, we started a service to help people get them up. And this is tied to the mission because I truly believe that most nonprofits, if not every nonprofit, should be thinking about doing this. And we truly want to help. That being said, what I'm sharing with you today is the secret sauce. It's all out there. You can use it and do it on your own if you like. And the DPP community will be here to support you and to help you along the way and maybe even cheer you. So without further ado, oh my goodness, there's so many people. I hadn't been paying attention. Bridget, Faith, Kathleen, Caitlin, Emily, so many great friends. It's so great to see you. Thanks a whole lot. Let me jump into the presentation. When I'm presenting, I'm not going to be able to see the comments. Unfortunately, I can't ask you to unmute yourself and just holler. So please do keep asking questions in the chat, and I'll go through them as soon as I'm done. I don't think we'll take the full hour. I want to give you the general structure, the tools, and the philosophy behind setting up these automated Donor Welcome Series so that you're empowered to take the next step in your exploration. So let's do that. Okay. My screen. Thanks, Pratik. He's a great core contributor of the Donor Participation Project. And dear friend, okay, please give me some type of indication that you can see this, and I'll turn off the chat for a moment so you get the full screen. Yes or no, thumbs up. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen share? Just a moment. Let's see. Okay, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Greatly appreciated. Sometimes there's a little bit of a lag. But isn't it wonderful that we can all be here today, a distributed group of fundraisers all over the world, learning together? My goal is to bring some of the knowledge that we learn in the Donor Participation Project to you, some of the experiments that I've run myself. I'm a little bit jet lagged today because I just came back from India, where I was meeting the Alma-based team, and if there are any Alma-based team members here, it's so great to have spent time with you. And let's get this started. So why do you want to focus on the period immediately after making a gift? Because first off, you have an opportunity to really surprise your donors, because most every nonprofit I've worked with or at was doing a terrible job at it. And I don't know if people identify with that, or that's just being kind of my little sliver of experience, or if it's really generalized. I've made gifts to nonprofits to see how they were doing, to other schools, universities, healthcare, performing arts, social service organizations. Not a great job in the period immediately after the gift. So, you have an opportunity here to really surprise and delight, to create a great experience for your donors. Donor's remorse is a thing. It's when you make a gift and that you're deciding whether that gift provided the value that you hoped that it would, however you're defining that, emotionally, impact-wise, etc. But you're making that decision, they say, in the period 30 to 90 days after you make your gift. Once you've gone beyond that, there's not a whole, people have mostly made up their minds. Am I going to make a second gift? Was that a satisfying, gratifying experience? Am I achieving the difference making the difference that I want to make in the world? So you want to focus on that period to combat donors' remorse. Late responses destroy trust. So the opposite of that is that to build trust, quick responses help. So that's a nonverbal cue that people consider. There are studies about this, how quickly people respond to emails. I had a mentor who gave me this great example. So imagine you're walking through a door, you're walking out of your favorite fast food joint, and somebody opens the door for you. Very kind, right? So then you walk out, and maybe you keep walking, and maybe 200 yards out there, you turn around and you say, hey, thanks. Too late. That's it has to be timely, and it has to be close to the act of the kindness that you're receiving, right? So so you want your thank yous to be timely. And then why is the thank you important? I just said 2 words. If I had to only use 2 words in this whole presentation, Penelope Burke, there's a quote by her right here. Tons of studies, surveys that she's done. One of the quotes, 90% of donors say the thank you letter is the single most important and influential communication they ever receive from not-for-profits they support. Other research from her consulting firm sharing that not understanding the impact of the gift is one of the main reasons people don't renew their support. So suddenly this kind of puts it all in perspective. You have this opportunity in the period immediately after somebody makes a gift, to make them feel satisfied, to make them understand the impact of their gift, to start a relationship or deepen a relationship with them. It's really kind of like a golden moment of opportunity, and most nonprofits throw it away. So that's something that we kind of discovered in the Donor Participation Project. On the other hand, I'm just checking the comments. Am I muted, or Leslie can hear me? Oh, okay, great, Heather. There's an opportunity now where there's technology that can help make these, provide this wonderful experience in the period after the gift. And all of that, essentially what it's doing, it's increasing retention, right? You're making people more satisfied. They'll want to stick around. They'll want to make a second gift. And I always feel like it's my duty to remind everybody the incredible effect that ROI has on dollars raised, which we know is one of our primary metrics. Is, people are going to say, Louis, that's very nice. I know we all want all that fuzzy, warm feeling, but we're here to raise money. Well, the two things go hand in hand. I've run this study with several nonprofits, some huge in the hundreds of thousands of records, some medium-sized like this one, and others smaller. And what this chart shows is the relationship between consecutive years of giving and largest gift amount. Those numbers that you see along the bottom, the 0, the 2, the 4, and the 6, are not always the same. But what is always the same is that people who give smaller amounts tend to give one-off gifts, or give for 2 years and then drop off. People who make larger gifts, on average, and this is using the median, tend to give for larger stretches of time. For me, this makes a lot of sense. People are building trust in the organization, and they want, they're obviously receiving some form of value, and they want to stay around. And if the organization is doing a good job with their major gifts effort, people who trust the organization and who have capacity will be approached to make transformational investments, right? That's what we're all about. So this is kind of what ties it. And I know sometimes annual giving is this one little corner, stewardship is the other little corner if you're in a big shop, or if not, if you're in a small shop, you actually just don't have time for anything. And you're thinking, why should I focus on this? And this is an area where I feel like with relatively little effort, you can increase and improve the experience a whole lot. So very quick background summary. It's Louis, where are you getting this from? I'm kind of obsessed about this type of thing. I've started a group called the Donor Participation Project. We meet every month, as I mentioned earlier. Please do check us out. It's free to join. I've met with, at this point, hundreds of fundraisers, nonprofit professionals, all types of positions. We have a monthly lunch analysis where we meet and we discuss things like this. We network. We also have a one-on-one intros club to kind of have one-on-one meetings with other people. It's people tell me that they find value, as we were talking about. They find value in this experience, and we're hoping to increase donor participation in nonprofits by finding solutions together. We also have a LinkedIn Live series of interviews called #DPP Office Hours, and I do a podcast. So between all of this, I'm almost always thinking about it, right? And I work with a company also called Alma Base that builds software to help people create connections and to help schools create the environment for their alums to connect among themselves and with the school. So a lot of this has led to discoveries and theories, which I then applied to either clients or in my past experience, career-wise. I have been doing these welcome series. I've done like 24 of them in the last month or so, because I truly believe that it's a high impact practice that lots of nonprofits should do. So what is a donor welcome series? Let me just review the comments for a moment. Thank you, Allison. We'll go through the questions in a second. Amanda is asking if presentation slides will be emailed afterward. I wasn't planning to, but this link will have the recording forever. If you're a member of the Donor Participation Project, I'll upload the slides into our resource library, which has every single session that we've had recorded. So it's actually a quite valuable resource. So Amanda, I invite you to join. Hi, Dan. Okay, so it looks like we're doing good with comments. So what is a donor welcome series? Obviously, it's a series, so it's not just one email. It's a couple of emails. It's very hard, and we very often try to communicate too many things in one email. It's very hard to get across everything we need in one email. Thank you, and here's your receipt, and here's the impact, and here's our annual report. And here is a funny photo of our constituents holding thank you signs. So, too much, TMI. You need to do this over time. So at the very least, it's 2 emails. It can be 2, 3, 4, as many as you like, right? It's automated or semi-automated. And this is where the fundraiser experience comes in. I found that I felt not so great about having automated messages go out, especially if they were super personal and they were sent from my account. as they should be, right? As a development building tool. So what I found out, and this is what we do in the Donor Welcome series, is that you can create automation so that the email gets put in as a draft in your folder. And that's felt absolutely great. It was my favorite part of the day. Every morning, I opened my email, opened the draft folder, and I got to thank all those generous people who had supported us the day before. And personalize those messages, etc. So timely. Remember, we just said that timeliness is critical in building trust, and trust is almost what we're all about in nonprofits. So, people aren't getting a car. Well, they're not getting a product when they make a gift, obviously. And they need to trust that we are fulfilling our mission and that we're using their money adequately. And, that there's a lot of trust that's needed, right? And so having these messages be automated makes them timely. Who has worked here in a shop that send out maybe a thank you letter 3, 4, 5 weeks sometimes after the gift? Virtually raise your hand. I've been there. That doesn't build trust. So example and counterexample versus making a gift and almost immediately, maybe a few hours later or the next day, getting a note from the gift officer saying, hey, I saw your gift. This is really going to change lives. You're going to get your gift receipt in due time, but I wanted to reach out to you and ask a question, yada, yada, starting a conversation, right? What a difference, no? So having these messages, and now we're going into the realm of opinion. I feel like these messages have to be very human, very heartfelt, and need to start conversations. The whole point of this is that you're going to be asking questions and asking people to get back in touch with you if they so choose, right? Without being pushy, but opening that door. Maybe if you have a Calendly link, I'm letting them book themselves for a call with you, sending them a survey as part of the Donor Welcome series. That's kind of the whole point of the thing. If you turn this into just another marketing looking thing, it's good, I guess. It's better than nothing, but it kind of defeats the point from a fundraising perspective. So does this work? Everybody, some people may say, okay, fancy, another shiny thing. I'm bringing this to people because I truly believe in this. I've run it myself. I've helped people run it. And when it's, when you actually do send these messages and you're on it in a timely manner, it's not totally automated. It's not set and forget. There has to be a human, but that's kind of the point. When you do it, you do see results. I've had gift upgrade conversations, just regular stewardship conversations, referrals to major gift officers for interests that ultimately led to major gifts. It's been great. But there's actually data that a company called Prenger Solutions Group, I very much invite you to check them out. I admire that team a whole lot. They compared, they did an A/B test and found that in one of the automations that they were running, people were 3 times more likely to renew their gift. Again, probably we could have more research and we could have more data behind this, but also because of the level of effort involved, I kind of see this as a no-brainer. So, that's my polemic-inducing comment of the day. So the secret sauce. Let me review. We have comments. Feel free to ask along. Heather is commenting on those marketing versus real. Yes. So the way the method that I'm bringing to you today to do this, and again, there may be different ways of doing this. And I also hope that if you get somebody to help you, you really ask good questions. This actually puts a draft in a person's drafts folder in their email inbox. And when it goes out, it comes out from a person, right? You can set these things up so that it's just, they have maybe similar or slightly different names like autoresponder. So these could just be set up as marketing emails. But again, I don't think that's so effective. So something about an apology from not being thanking. Okay, so I think Faith's advice is one of the secret pieces of advice that I found in my career, which is you can get so much more mileage out of an apology than sometimes even doing it right the first time. I don't exactly understand the psychology. Maybe it's because it makes you or the organization look human. But there have actually been direct response marketers who hoped or dreamed that there would be a mistake so that they could send a second letter correcting the mistake, because it's pretty reliable that you're going to get better results with that. Yes, Deborah. So what happens with volume? I'm going to show you a little bit of the ways you can set it up, but definitely you can segment this. It doesn't have to be a blanket approach for everybody. And you can select this to be for a certain gift amount level, for a certain designation. But this is kind of in that middle realm where it's not totally a mass approach, but it's also not totally just one person doing a mail merge, which they can't keep up with, right? And they can't do sustainably. And also, if that person leaves, this thing stops happening. So it's in that space, kind of that, you might call it mid-level giving, but it's also applicable to lower gifts and maybe some higher gifts. But it's also kind of the point that this is not a totally automated process that you could do millions of these without having a human behind them every day. Kind of like augmenting human capacity for relationships. So my suggestion in that situation has been with organizations to find a segment that you want to apply this to, try it out at the beginning, and then augment that. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, but maybe you have a gift officer that's assigned to a different group, taking care of different groups. And yes, also because giving is so seasonal around the holidays, you may want to do this with a generic account that more than one person, can take care of reviewing and sending. But anyhow, secret sauce, how these automations work. There's something that happens in your database or in your email inbox, and that's called the trigger. So most likely it's date of gift, right? A gift was received yesterday. Some platforms are already connected to some of the automation tools. They have official connectors. And if they don't have an official connector, you can set up a scheduled report, which most every fundraising database has already, right? So Blackbaud you're going to process your gifts in your Blackbaud, whatever RE Next or whatever you have, or in Salesforce, Nonprofit Cloud, any of the other implementations that exist, or even if you have a giving form provider, sometimes you can run the automation from there. I had an example here, Fundraise Up, no affiliation. We've done this with Fundraise Up, with GiveButter, and those connected with Zapier. And that's the trigger. If whatever you have, if the stack that you have doesn't connect there, you can actually set up a scheduled report, and I'm going to show you an example of that in Zapier that will check for that scheduled report every day, see if there's a Excel CSV spreadsheet, open it, merge the emails for you, put them in your draft folder. So it's exactly the same. So number 2 is the automation tool. There are 2 main automation tools out there. There are more than these, and this is, again, not an endorsement, platform agnostic here. They have free levels, or if your shop is a Microsoft Office, or if you have Microsoft Office as part of your organization, you most probably will have some version of Power Automate that you can use. Zapier has a free level. And there are others, Integromat, Make.com, and you can check those out. So that's how these are called no-code tools. And what they do is they let you connect different pieces of software. In this case, you're connecting your database with your email, and then do some logic in the middle of all of that. And I'm going to show this to you, how this looks when you set it up. And then the final step is messages go into your draft folder in Outlook or in Gmail. Are folks following me up to here? Donor charm. John, this is great. So yes, Dan is supporting my theory about apologies. We should turn that into a secret law of fundraising. And Faith also. Use integration with donor. Perfect. We'll look that up for you, Lauren. But most probably there's a way to do it. I'm almost always guaranteed. And at the very least, your fallback is the scheduled report, and that still works. Let's keep going. So number 1 is writing the email sequence, plain vanilla. Think of the strategy, think of your subject line, think of, as we saw previously, what segments you want to do this with. For instance, gives under $1,000 going to annual fund accounts. That was a recent one we did. Gifts from individuals that are not recurring. Just kind of think of the logic a little bit there. And you want to decide if you want to do 2 or 3 emails. And these are the guidelines that I share with people, and I hope you find them helpful. So number 1, make emails conversational. Okay, don't make it stiff. Thank you for your gift of $80. That doesn't work. Oh my goodness, I just saw your gift. Okay, that could be a little bit too conversational, no? But just think of that balance. Show gratitude and excitement for the potential of the gift to make a difference. Okay, so talk about impact, that type of things. Ask questions. Emails that have a question mark, just that little symbol, are much more likely to be answered. And that's what you want. You want to start conversations. And think about not just keeping this to email, being multimedia. We had John mentioning text messages. Great. The more channels you have a relationship with a constituent, the deeper that relationship, the more likely they are to retain. And we saw earlier, the more, the longer they keep on giving, the more likely, if they have capacity, they are to make significant gifts, major gifts. So it's all tied together, right? Would you think that just sending a text message is going to make somebody a major donor? No, but it's part of that sequence of events, so to say, right? Include video. Let people not only text them, let them text you, let them book a meeting in your calendar, all types of things. Let them book a meeting with some beneficiary if it's appropriate for your organization. So think of these things when you're writing these emails. I kind of ask you to think of that. And this is one of the test results. A fantastic organization in Corvallis, Oregon. It's essentially like a mail merge, right? In your email. If you use Gmail, you might use a tool like Yam. If you're in Outlook, it's just a Word mail merge into your email. That's all there is, really. It's pretty, so like on this side of things, it's pretty simple. And that's what the donor needs to see. Just a heartfelt, timely email. We saw the end result, and I'm taking you one step back to the automation. I'm going to show you screenshots from an automation built in Zapier. Okay, and a screenshot from an automation built in Power Automate. This specific automation, you see at the beginning, all of these things are a click. Like you don't need to know how to code. You just need to kind of read through the instructions for all the different steps. Everything is well documented. If you get into trouble, you can Google things. So I almost say, I invite people to just explore this on their own, right? So what this step does is it looks for an attachment in Gmail. So it's connecting with your email and it's saying, okay, did the email arrive that's called gifts report.csv? If that email arrived, then only continue if that email is there, if that attachment is there, and then it starts doing things, right? It opens the CSV, it takes out the email, and the last step looks a lot like this one, and it's called create a draft in Gmail. And that's all there is to it. You can start experimenting with this right away on the Zapier free tier. So I don't think you really need to check with your IT policy, etc., but you can do this on your own. So you don't have to wait for months for IT or advancement services to catch up with you. you can do this type of thing. You can also set this type of thing up in Microsoft Power Automate. And I'm going to tell you a small secret. Microsoft Power Automate has a cloud version that you edit in your browser. It also has a desktop version. Once you're in the desktop version, really, it's just doing things that you might be doing manually. So again, for those shops that I speak with, and they say, well, yes, but we have, it's very hard to get things through, get things done, etc. If you're committed to this and you want to experiment with this, you can try the Microsoft Power Automate desktop version, and it's no different than you just dragging and copying on your own computer. Nothing goes out there. So if you're allowed to pull lists and work with those lists in Excel, that's exactly what you're doing. Is just the computer's helping you along a little bit. And it's the same concept here. That this is a automation that connects Blackbaud to Microsoft Power Automate and creates those drafts. And it's pretty much the same concept. I have to say, Zapier is easier to use. I would recommend that as your first introduction to all of this. But Microsoft Power Automate has an official connector with Razor's Edge Next. So I don't know how many people are on RE Next, but maybe, say RE or something in the chat, just so we get a feeling for that. But those are the pros and the cons. So, I'm trying to give you kind of the lay of the land here. Question, does this work with Outlook? 100%, 120%. It works with Outlook. It works with Gmail. Some combinations can be easier or more difficult. So more difficult, just have a few extra steps. So for instance, Microsoft Power Automate works best with, as you would imagine, Microsoft Outlook. That's a more flexible integration, but it still works with Gmail. So I would say that the sky's the limit here with the opportunities, the possibilities that you have. All of this, again, is point and click. You can read up, you can Google things. And if you're kind of an entrepreneurial assistant or associate director, a coordinator, and you have this, great idea for what you'd like to do with moderate, for annual fund donors to give them a fantastic experience, I very much recommend that you just get started. You can't break a whole lot. And the potential is really high. Make sure that you keep track of your results and that you share them back with us, either or with your organization or with the your donor participation project colleagues, because we kind of thrive in hearing about your success. So what I like about this approach, if you go to maybe a marketing firm, they're going to want to do this in a different way. What I like about this approach is that, number one, it builds capacity. So it's making you as the person doing this in the organization or a team or your advancement services group or your IT group, they're learning about tools that can help way beyond just setting up a donor welcome series. Okay, you can help. This can be used to dedupe records for gift processing. It can be used to send surveys, other types of sequences, to send postcards, to send text messages, to notify gift officers when a gift arrived, to thank people for their 5th, 10th, 15th gift, to thank people for a number of years of giving. And, you don't have to start a whole loyalty society for this. You can just recognize them on the fly. It opens up a whole lot of possibilities. Number two, the second benefit is that you stay in control. So if you want to change something, if you want to change the delay between emails, the text of the emails, if you want to stop the program altogether, the gift officer, who is the person that's closer to the donors, who I believe should be making the bulk of the decisions, is in control of that. So that's another thing I like about this. Number three is email deliverability. These are actually emails that get put into, as if you had typed them into your draft folder, and then get sent. When you click send, it's just like as if you had typed it in and sent it out. We often don't take a whole lot of care with our marketing lists in nonprofits. We send lists that don't get very good open rates, and then that dings our score, so our emails are more likely to land in the promotions tab or in spam. There's a whole lot of issues. Sometimes they're set up incorrectly. There's a whole lot of issues that don't help the frontline fundraiser succeed. And with this, he or she can kind of sidestep them and get to their job, which is building those relationships. There is the do-it-yourself approach, and I hope that today you found enough to get you started. This presentation will live at this link forever. I will share the slides in the Donor Participation Project resource library. Feel free to sign up. It's the first part of the URL here. If you'd actually like a little bit more hands-on help, that URL there has an explainer for the service. It's very, it's fairly delimited. It's not a huge process. We can get it done quickly and efficiently. And sometimes people find that, especially for the internal negotiation, that we're really helpful, because we're kind of this outside source of knowledge that can say, okay, this is how it's typically done, and that gets things moving that would otherwise not get moving. So that's the end of the presentation today. What did you all find? We have a few more minutes. I'm going to review the comments. Anybody here is on Virtuous. Deborah is on RE Next. Okay, we have a good number of people on RE Next. So Microsoft Power Automate is going to be your best bet. If you have an advancement services person, they probably already know about this and have been wanting to explore it for months, but couldn't find time. And I say this because I've heard this already lots of times. Salesforce, you'll find the Zapier integration for that. There's also an inbuilt automation tool in Salesforce. Carrie, yes, it works. Donor Charm, Juan, I'll look this up. That looks very interesting. Are you satisfied with it? Would love to hear more. So any additional questions, things that I've missed? Does this sound interesting or not? Just give me some feedback. Maureen is on next. I'm going to let the feed catch up. And thanks, Pratik, for sharing the link. Super helpful. What about next workflow? Yes. I am not 100% the greatest expert, but I have heard that there's a deliverability issue to consider. And I really like that this approach gives you more hands-on control. How long to wait to directly ask for another gift? Heather, you're always on the money. Great question. I've read research that says that, in fact, if you're providing a good experience, you shouldn't go beyond 90 days, which for me in higher ed, I once applied to a job where I was basically disqualified because I suggested having a second ask in the year. And they said, oh, no, that's not our policy. So think of that 90 days. I think there's a couple of caveats here. You need to be providing a good experience. Maybe the second ask is to upgrade to monthly. Okay, so you can actually pose that as a service as part of the welcome series. Many of our donors choose to make a convenient monthly deduction because they feel that blah 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 blah. So there's opportunity there. You could also, part of the ask is that maybe it doesn't have to be a donation ask, but you should be asking, as I said, in every email, either for feedback, for advocacy, right? Ask them to join your channels. There's a lot. So this sequence that I showed you for the park, ask them to print out a yard sign and put it on their yard and take a photo of it and send it back. So the bigger point is use this period immediately after the gift to build and grow that relationship. Thanks, John. Great. Exactly. Their loss. Wasn't that funny, Anne? Um, any knowledge about the ease of adoption with Kindful? I am not familiar with that. RE Next has an official connector with Microsoft Power Automate, and it's magical. Highly recommended. Blackbaud also has a support community. You can go in there. It's kind of hard to find. DM me if you can't find it, but you all can actually connect with other RE Next users, and people are sharing their automations. Some great ideas there. A lot of it, because it's initiated by advancement services, a lot of the examples are more like on the gift processing and notification side of things. So I do feel that this is an incredible tool for stewardship as well. If we already have automated thank you letters that go out, how can we? So this process does not only have to be emails. One of the steps can be a letter. So that's how you could automate what you're doing, like a mail merge, essentially, where it merges the letter and it either emails it to somebody or it puts it in a folder for that somebody prints once a week or whenever, or every day, depending on your volume. People are doing postcards. People are doing ringless voicemails, which the jury's out there, but they are effective. It's essentially, your phone suddenly says you have a voicemail, even though you never heard a call. But it's a nice way to give a personalized message. So you can do a sequence. Think of this as a sequence of automated things that are most easily emails, but they can be other things and pretty easily as well. Jeanette, thank you. Do you need to have the email for your director's Gmail to get the drafts to populate? Caitlin, yes, you will actually. So when we do this with people, we get on a screen share with them and we walk them through this. Once you set up the automation, it's not so hard, but you do need to get with them in the office or something or on a screen share and have them connect their account to the automation. And that's how it works. Tony, what's it called in Salesforce? That's a good question. I invite you to connect with somebody called Jamie, Jemi Loeb, Loeb. She's a Salesforce rock star, just joined the firm that does this day in, day out, and she can totally help you. And of course, if you work with us, we work with Jamie too. So that's part of the deal. Let me see more questions. This is so good. I just looked it up, and Kindful can connect with Zapier. That's what you have to Google for. So if you have a tool and I didn't mention it today, just ask integration, name of tool, integration with Zapier. That's your best bet. Again, there's make.com. The difference between make.com and Zapier is that Zapier has more tools it connects with, but make.com connects with that fewer number of tools in lots of in more depth. So it has like lots of different things that you can do with each tool. But for most of our uses, that's kind of a moot point, and I honestly just look at cost. You can connect with Twilio to send text messages. Coming from a staff and a volunteer, such as a board, committee, or chair. Andy, my suggestion is the beauty of this, it can be all of the above. So you can actually have several emails being sent. Little bit of a wrinkle here is that if you're if your goal is to start conversations, then you actually have to be responsive to those emails. You can't really know if a volunteer is going to be on top of it, because this would be or could be actually sent from the volunteer's Gmail or Outlook if they gave you permission to connect, and that might get a little bit tricky. So you can definitely add a quote or something like that. The example I shared with you from that park was being sent from the chair of the Friends of the Park organization. So there you go. So I think the answer is yes to all of the above. Some things may have trade-offs. Bloomerang, that would be great. If you're a Bloomerang user, please connect here. So this is about it today. Thank you so much for spending some time together. I hope you found this helpful. Connect with us. We want to help you. Connect with me on LinkedIn, with anybody else who was here on the call. There are some very experienced people. I always say there's more expertise on that side of the camera than on this one. Donor participation project. If you find value in what we shared, this is the type of thing we talk about, we innovate, we connect about, we commiserate about. And I do think that donor welcome series are an opportunity area, especially now that we're losing so many donors in the sector as a whole, as we saw in the recent fundraising effectiveness project report. And it's kind of a high impact way to immediately increase the experience that most frontline fundraisers can do. So super grateful. Again, we're here for you. Have a great rest of the week.